mending fences with political foes and forming new alliances are ultimate requirements for winning elections. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has begun moves to douse tension generated by the choice of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State as running mate for the party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. The chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees, Senator Walid Jibrin, said the party has set up a 9-member committee to beg Governor Nyesom Wike. Sam, Nyesom Wike participated in the primaries. At the point in time, we thought he was going to, emerge before the Tambuwal master stroke. Yeah. And yes, Atiku Abubakar became the candidate. Again, it was said that the PDP elders set up a 17-man committee to nominate who to be the vice president, and it was shortlisted. It was between Nyesom Wike and Patrick Okowa. And we're told that they went into ballots, and 14 for Nyesom Wike and 3 for Patrick Okowa. Yeah. And the former vice president, in his own wisdom and with his prerogative, vetoed the whole process. Yeah. And Patrick Okowa, we chose Patrick Okowa as his running mate. Since that time, Nyesom Wike has been mute. But we've been getting feelers here and there that look.
His body language is so loud. He's not talking, but the body language is so loud. Some of us are not totally surprised, at developments. Anyone who has followed PDP in very recent times would appreciate the fact that Wike, had been the backbone of the party in terms of, trying to firm the structure. And of course, you and I know that what that means is that somebody was committing resources, and in this case, money, to ensure that the house appears fairly, stable. So for Wike and his team, it's more like we've committed so much into helping build this party while some people were away, and then it's payback time. But politics doesn't work out that way. There are rules. The party has its structure. For anyone who followed the primaries, it would appear that it was transparent enough before Tambuwal did what he did and all that. So what we hear that the source of grievance basically is that the man is not, he and his people are not very happy the way he was treated, and he wants to be pampered. He wants to be appreciated, in a way. We are no party members, but I can tell you, from the outside that this is just basically about positioning. The man wants to be recognized as a major factor within the PDP family, and he wants to be accorded that respect. How the entire thing will pan out is what we can only hazard guesses as to which way it will go. Some of his followers are angling that Okowa should be dropped and Wike replaced. And you wonder how practical that would be. Even Wike himself at some point said he would never go for the vice presidential ticket. So I wonder how that would have played. But politicians speak from both sides of the mouth. Here you have a man who said he will never go for that running mate position, and you now have his followers saying he ought to have been given that ticket. What would have happened at the end of the day if he would have had to swallow his vomit, as it were. But I think this is just basically politics playing out. We hear that 13 governors are going to be part of the reconciliation visit and all that. We'll see how that plays out.
Can Nyesom Wike actually rock the boat?
Yes.
Within the PDP?
Yes. Nyesom Wike is a man that is very rare. That is mine. That is a very rare attribute when it comes to politics in our country. Don't forget that he said he was not going to run for vice president. He was built upon fellow governors who are trying to avoid where we are today, where they are today in PDP. Just to tell them, look, this man has been the major financier of our party since 2015. He carried the party on his shoulders. He was the low man standing for so long that we were thinking that we are going to sink non-limites. for the death of PDP. He was the last man standing. So now he lost out, fine. People thought, you remember what happened in 2015, Sam?
Yes.
When Buhari emerged at Balogun. The first thing he said was that the VP is given to the people of the Southwest. Do with it what they make. It's not going to come into it. He has gotten his own tickets, that is all. That's what really happened there. Because people voted. And they told him that we voted for you, there are 14 of us. Of course, the prerogative of the candidate to pick whatever he wants to work with. You don't know the real reason why he decided not to pick Wike. Well, like I said, Wike is not, I know him personally, so I know he will say his mind anyway. For Wike to be quiet for this long amount of time means he's been talking and not using the microphone. And that to me is luckily for our democracy and luckily for PDP, we have 7 months. This will be the old days when the window is just 2 months, something.
It's very short.
I'll have told if the election were to hold tomorrow, I will answer a question by saying Wike can not only rock the boat, the boat will capsize. But we have 7 months to mend fences, for them to do whatever they want, and then come to an understanding. And if they don't get an understanding, there are so many variables.
Yeah,
let me try and put you in the shoes of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar.
Right.
A lot of people will say, look, you need somebody in the guise of Professor Yemi Osinbajo to be your vice president, or somebody like former President Goodluck Jonathan, or somebody like Namadi Sambo to be your vice president. That you don't want to have Nyesom Wike as your vice president. It's as if, in terms of submission, in terms of loyalty, in terms of, so that you can go to bed with your two eyes closed. I don't know, maybe you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a natural feeling, the president of this country is rated only one of the most powerful men in the world. You don't want someone who would come, and water down the powers, you would enjoy on the beat. So I think it's a natural feeling to want to have someone you can, order around, in quotes. And Wike, you and I know, don't fit that bill. He's bold, he speaks to you the way he wants to, and anyone who has observed him over time will tell you that it's not some kind of meat you would chew anyhow. You've got to be pretty very careful. And remember,
Let me quickly take Olushola Julius from Ibadan, your state.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you for joining us, Shola.
Oga Kani, good evening, sir. Mr. Ipimere, good evening, sir. I want to believe something from my spirit, that Atiku has made a choice that he believes that is profitable to him. Now, Wike, let us check it very vividly. Wike is a very strict stand in PDP now. But I will appreciate it if all of them will come together as a family and unite together. To me, I don't think Atiku can pick Wike. Why? Because Wike is another person that is desperate to be president. And I think Mr. Kani just said it now. Wike is somebody that speaks his mind anytime. And you can see the way he talks. He pick up anybody anytime. And he talk, recklessly sometimes. So if he happens to be the vice presidential candidate to a person like Atiku, with the kind of person Atiku is, there is fire on the mountain. But if at all they are able to manage themselves and reconcile genuinely with him, then the party is ready for 2023. But if they allow this issue to fester, there is trouble. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This person came to my mind. Even the deputy governor of Lagos State, Obafemi Hamzat, if you remember, he contested. He wanted to be the governor. But today, he's the deputy governor. Very, very humble man. When you meet him, he will disarm you.
Well,
very humble man.
Politics is not played that way. Here we're dealing with a man who is very assertive.
Team player.
Very assertive. So what is playing out in PDP, it's difficult to put a handle to it, because if you observe Wike's followers very closely, you heard them talk about sticking to a certain president. Now, if we are to judge by what we hear these people talk about, you wonder if the man himself is not preparing to back somebody from the South against the wishes of his party. And that is why this proposed meeting, that will involve 13 other governors, will
some of them are already backing out.
Yeah, so there is a lot of fireworks. I expect a lot of fireworks, ahead of.
If we were to be in the shoes of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and you have to choose between Okowa and Wike, and how do you go about this?
That would be an easy answer if the Southern presidency thing is not an albatross on my neck. Don't let's forget. Despite all attempts to paper the crack, a lot of people are not happy. Atiku is the candidate of the PDP. Some will not say that because they want to angle for power. But we have spoken to some people in the party, they will tell you that the fundamental element of PDP is rotation.
I thought we've gone past that.
No, that's the key. We have not. What happened was basically accepting the fact that somebody has slept with your wife. Anytime you look at your wife, you remember the person. That's how it is. You've agreed that, okay, I'm forgiving you.
That's a tough one.
You've forgiven your wife.
You can't use that from your consciousness.
Memory. The fact that Wike and some others went to this contest under the assumption that it will be a southern battle, the presidency in the PDP. It's fundamental. It's going to play out throughout the next 7 months, one way or the other. I don't think we've gone past. No, nobody has gone past anything. A lot of people are accepted. Fine, no problem. You want fairly and squarely.
Will you advise him to drop Governor Okowa?
No, that one is gone. That's
so how do you now reach out to you?
If I were to be Atiku, what he has missed is leaving Nigeria without solving the problem of the party. The moment I won, the first thing I will do is talk to everybody.
I thought he went to
No. Going to somebody is different. Okay. Because you may come to my house and I spend 30 minutes, take pictures. There may be things I asked of you. 2 weeks later, I've not heard anything. 3 weeks over, people will call me. Excellency, I've had the candidate talking to me. I said, no. Wike, since that day when you come, I know Sam again. And then they will start all this trouble again. So it was a mismanagement of the fallout. Okay, of the
let's take this call. I have Babajide calling us from Maryland, United States of America. Thank you, Jide.
Yes, hi, thank you. Hi,
go ahead, please.
Thank you for what you do. And I say thank you to the two gentlemen there. I quickly want to say this about what is playing out between Atiku and Wike. We all know what transpired between Atiku and Obasanjo during the regime. That is what Atiku is trying to avoid now. We all know Wike, if he be the vice president, it's not going to just be the one, be in the office and be reading papers. And we want to, flex more. And Atiku doesn't want that. You recall that Atiku made it clear that my running mate should be somebody that he doesn't want, against. You need somebody who's going to be obedient, who's going to abide with the rules. And Wike is not the type of person. Politically, Wike is stronger. And I don't think it will be that VP that doesn't want to be sitting in the office. And this is what is playing out. And that is what Atiku is trying to avoid. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Babajide. Thank you, Babajide.
I think Atiku was trying to avoid what happened to Obi when he chose the VP unilaterally. But while doing that, he also made a fundamental mistake.
Yeah.
He told the committee to recommend. Then he jettisoned the recommendation.
He wanted to play democracy.
That is what happened there. Because it would have been easier for him to say, look, ABC is what I want. And they voted. I think that's why people like Tom are very angry. Because you leave that meeting knowing fully well the results. You don't go back home and say that. I don't pass. So
but a lot of people are now saying that, look, they don't see Wike like we are tired. The vice president that will keep cool, that will wait for directive, that will box to a corner and everything. Yeah. That Atiku was just looking at what has transpired between him and his former boss.
Yeah, he has. To be fair to Wike, he has shown that outwardly in his conduct. You could tell from the way he speaks, from the way he acts, some of the things he had done, the way he has confronted those who had in the past been his boss and all that. So it was clear that here you have somebody, as I said, very assertive, who is bold, courageous, look in the face and speak to you without caring whose ox is God and all that. So again, not diplomatic at all. And it's politics is an interest-driven game, at the risk of repeating that. So you have a man who is involved in some sort of permutation. Look, if I get there, I don't want someone who is going to cause me some kind of distraction. Because, Ayo, let's remind ourselves, didn't Atiku himself cause the former OBJ distraction? You know, so like everyone,
caught
yeah,
for the better part of the second time.
So I'm sure.
No, he was not working throughout the second time. He was always
so you have a case where he himself is a ready example of how not to pick, a number 2 man. So it's clear he understands the way the dynamics of that office.
He confirmed it that he even regrets picking Atiku.
No, he keeps saying it. Even with all
counting from
OBJ will repeat that line till
even with all the reconciliation,
we know what happened.
He doesn't. He's not giving up on that claim. He says, "Look, fine. We may have discussed it. I may have forgiven you, but it's going to be on record." And he has this thing documented in his books. In his books, that look, one of my biggest regrets, as a politician, is picking this man as my number 2 man. So Atiku himself understands the dynamics of that office, and that's why he doesn't want someone, in his view, who is going to be bold and who is going to cause him some kind of distraction. But Ayo, as I have argued earlier, we should expect a lot to happen in the days ahead. Because
as we're wrapping up on this, what will, I have seen Governor Ifeanyi Okowa meticulous, very articulate. He doesn't talk when it's not controversial. Let me just put him like that. But I know I've attended some conventions here that to conduct the primaries is like a utility player within the PDP.
Absolutely.
If you ask him to conduct the primary election, you can be dead sure that he's going to stick to the rules, and he's a very meticulous person and a kind of administrator. It doesn't cause controversy.
Actually, it does. But Delta is so far away that we don't know. Because I know the battle between the Ika people and the people of Warrior and all that last 8 years. That's neither here nor there. What Ifeanyi is bringing to the table? One, stability. The president wants to go to bed, hopefully well, he will not wake up tomorrow, and his vice president will have caused all manners of wrongs. That, of course, makes sense. But it's not really that cut and dried.
Okay, let's quickly pick this call. Mo Dupe is calling us from Akure. Thank you for joining us, Dupe.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you for the good job you are doing. Now, talking about this Atiku's matter, for me, I believe we should not dissipate so much energy on this. A committee was set up. The committee was not an electoral college. They just set the committee up to look at the candidates, and they selected 3 names. They told Atiku pick one out of the 3. And we must understand this. You know, the draft out of our constitution, they understood when they were doing it back then, that the post of the vice president must complement that of the president. That's why you don't vote for the vice presidential candidate. As a matter of fact, the presidential candidate can unilaterally, without any consultation like Atiku did the last time, to pick his vice presidential candidate without any consultation. So for me, don't let us keep on dissipating energy on this. As a matter of fact, I learned that 3 other committees were set up. Apart from that one, they didn't ask those people to vote. They asked them to select. 17 people could not turn themselves to an electoral college. The party is too big for that. So the fact that they leave it that 17 people voted for 14-3, at the end of their vote, at the end of the election, the so-called 14-3, they still selected 3 names for Atiku, and they picked one out of the 3 names. So we should not dissipate energy on this, because the presidency is too big, is too powerful to be divided. That's why a vice presidential candidate, a vice president,
thank you, Modupe, for that insight. Modupe is just giving us a perspective.
Politics is not played that way.
It's not black and white.
It's not played that way.
It's not black and white. Like I said, don't be an interesting.
Wike understands all this underplay of intrigues and all. He understands all these things, and that's why most of his backers. Yeah, he's got his foot soldiers speaking for him.
No.
They've been speaking. I mean, it's very clear. I mean, you have an Autumn who is ready to, literally, pick up the gun and shoot.
Fayose?
Yes, and Fayose. And they are speaking.
And these are people who are not afraid of anything.
Do you understand? So we've got to be mindful of that you have a man who feels that he has committed so much time, energy, resources to build that party, and that he deserves some respect. Now, the quarrel is with his backers said that the quarrel with the entire thing is the process. That the man wasn't treated well,
Would that
fairly.
not amount to entitlement mentality?
Oh, yes, but then that's what politics is all about.
Ego is
involved.
You can't run away from that.
Ego is, in fact, if you allow both men, I don't even see an Atiku, walking up to him, and ego is involved.
Okay.
We just hope they find a way to resolve this.
And they have 6 months.
Exactly.
6 months.